For 3 hours, the 7-year-old boy had screamed without stopping. Crystal chandeliers trembled above the royal gala, but no one could silence him. Sami al-Nasser, son of the powerful Sheikh Rashid, was in the grip of a sensory crisis that overwhelmed every attempt to calm him. Sheikh Rashid knelt beside his son, his deep voice cracking as he pleaded, but the child only screamed louder, hands pressed tight over his ears. Behind the service door, waitress Ana Delgado set down her tray of champagne. She had seen this before. Her own autistic brother used to scream like this, ignoring the frantic coordinator. Anna pushed through the crowd of dignitaries and bodyguards, her eyes fixed on the boy. She knelt directly in front of Sami, gently taking his hands away from his ears. For an instant, the screaming wavered. Anna began to hum a low, rhythmic Bedouin melody that rose and fell like desert wind. The ballroom fell deathly silent. Sami's screams faded into ragged sobs. His wild eyes found Anna's, and for the first time, they held still. 300 guests stared as this unknown woman did what no doctor could, her simple hum cutting through chaos like a blade. And in the echo of that ancient lullaby, the boy who had screamed for hours finally grew quiet. Anna's hum softened into a full lullaby, ancient words she couldn't remember learning, carrying a comfort that seemed to seep into Sami's bones. Her lips barely moved, but the melody wrapped around the boy like a blanket, and his sobs finally gave way to uneven breaths.
This was for her brother Tomas, the only thing that ever calmed him when the world became too loud.
Listen, child. This song is not entertainment. It is a key to a locked spirit.
In the tent, years ago, Anna had practiced until her fingers knew the pressure points Hala showed her, the secret of release hidden in ancient Bedouin healing.
How? Why? This woman is no doctor, yet Sami grows quiet.
Anna moved her hand to a specific point on Sami's back and pressed gently. She had seen this before. The body could only tighten for so long. Then it happened. Sami's entire frame went limp, a sudden collapse that drew horrified gasps from the crowd.
Shh, it's the release. He's not falling, he's finally resting.
Sami's eyes fluttered open, glazed but calm, and he leaned into Anna's arms. Sheikh Rashid stepped forward, his expression unreadable. Anna's hand continued its gentle rhythm through Sami's hair, her hum now a lullaby of almost unbearable tenderness. Then, against her shoulder, a single word, Mama. It was the first clear word Sami had spoken all night.
Mama. That word was my mother's dying wish for me to raise my brother. I've been his only family ever since.
Sheikh Rashid heard the word, and his guarded composure shattered. For the first time in public, his eyes welled with tears. The lullaby ended, and Sami's body went limp with true sleep. His grip on Anna's apron loosened, and his breathing evened out. The silence shattered into a wave of hushed whispers. 300 guests had witnessed a miracle, and none of them understood it. Sheikh Rashid moved closer, hand outstretched. His voice came out a strangled whisper, afraid to break the spell. He knelt beside them, his hand hovering near his son's head. His eyes asked questions she couldn't answer. Before he could speak, the coordinator rushed forward, earpiece dangling, face pale with panic. The gala was still in chaos, but in that moment, nothing else existed but the sleeping boy and the waitress who had calmed him with an ancient song. Sheikh Rashid's ragged voice finally broke through the hushed whispers of the ballroom, cutting straight to the woman holding his son.
Who are you?
Anna's heart hammered against her ribs, but she met his gaze. In her arms, Sami slept on, oblivious to the storm he'd caused.
My name is Ana Delgado. I am just a waitress. An old Bedouin woman taught me that song years ago to help my brother. I never expected this.
An old Bedouin woman. What was her name?
The name slipped from Anna's lips before she could measure its weight. Hala. Sheikh Rashid's expression cracked wide open. That name, an elderly woman named Hala, had once served his household, back when his wife was still alive. Without another word, he seized Anna's arm and guided her past the protesting coordinator and curious guests, through a service door into a private sitting room. There, she tenderly laid Sammy on a velvet sofa. He never stirred. The door clicked shut behind them, sealing out the world.
Now tell me everything. Start with Hala.
Anna steadied her trembling hands and spoke of the day her mother died, leaving her to care for her autistic younger brother, Tomas.
Hala was a neighbor who saw how Tomas screamed. She taught me the pressure points, the song. She said it was an old Bedouin remedy.
Sheikh Rashid listened without interruption, his eyes never leaving her face. Then, without a word, he pulled out his phone and scrolled. He turned the screen toward her. A photograph of a beautiful young woman holding a newborn Sammy, and behind her, the unmistakable face of Hala. Anna's breath caught. The woman in the picture was his late wife, and Hala stood right there, part of his household.
That's impossible. Hala never mentioned working for a sheikh. She was just an old woman in our neighborhood.
The coincidence was too heavy to dismiss. Sheikh Rashid's voice gained an edge, his gratitude souring into something darker.
This song was my wife's lullaby. Did Hala send you here? Are you part of some scheme to exploit my son's pain?
Anna shook her head, tears threatening. She had no answer for the impossible chain of events, only the truth of her own grief. Sammy slept on, untouched by the storm, as the distance between miracle and suspicion narrowed in the quiet room. Desperate to break the suspicion, Anna closed her eyes and let the memory rise. Hala, in the flickering lamplight, teaching her the lullaby's deepest secret.
This is a mother's prayer, child. It comes from a small village in the hills where women sang it to comfort the dying. A song for souls locked inside silence.
She never said the village's name. I never asked. I just needed it for Tomas. I didn't know it would mean anything more.
Sheikh Rashid's mouth fell open, the anger in his eyes extinguished by a sudden, staggering recognition. His large hand trembled as he pressed it to his chest.
That village, it is my wife Maha's birthplace. She sang that exact song to Sammy every night before cancer stole her voice.
The air in the room thinned. Anna saw a piece of an old, folded parchment on the table, with elegant Arabic script and musical notes. Maha's handwritten lullaby.
Listen, Ya Abib al-Ruh, la takhaf min al-layl.
Beloved of my soul, do not fear the night.
The lock clicked. The song wasn't a scheme. It was a thread stretching through time, connecting a Bedouin tent, a dying mother, and a boy who had forgotten how to sleep. Tears slipped down the sheikh's face, but he said nothing. Outside the window, the city glittered on, indifferent to the quiet reunion of grief and grace.
Maha sang that lullaby every night. After she died, Sammy never slept more than an hour at a time. I've watched him scream himself to exhaustion for 2 years.
Anna wiped her own tears and opened her phone, scrolling until she found an old photograph of Hala, her face deeply lined but eyes still sharp.
Hala died last year. She made me swear to never forget this song. She said it was a weapon against silence, and it would find the one who needed it.
Sheikh Rashid stared at the image, the pieces of an invisible puzzle clicking into place. Hala had not been a meddler. She had been a messenger.
She was trying to mend my son's heart. All these years, that old woman was carrying my wife's voice across the desert.
Before Anna could answer, a small, sleepy sound came from the sofa. Sammy stirred, his face crumpling with the beginnings of fear.
Mama.
Anna crossed to him, cradling his head. His small hands gripped her sleeve, and he buried his face in her apron, still half asleep but clinging.
He hasn't called out for her like that since she died. You've given him back his mother's voice.
Gratitude and sorrow tangled in the dim light, and the chasm of the evening's impossible events left only one certainty. The lullaby had changed them all. Anna hummed a few more notes, and the melody soothed Sammy back into a deep, untroubled sleep. His grip loosened, his face smoothed into peace. The long crisis was finally over. A sharp knock shattered the quiet. The event coordinator's frantic voice pierced through the door, demanding the Sheikh's immediate return.
Tell them I'll be there in a moment. We are not finished here.
He turned back to Anna, his eyes now holding more than gratitude. There was a fierce resolve that demanded an answer.
Come to my home tomorrow night. Let me give you a proper meal, and we can speak more about my son.
This is madness. I'm just a waitress. But what if this is the purpose Hala always talked about? I have a double shift. I can't just leave my job.
I'll send a car, and your manager will be compensated for your time. Please, let me do this.
Anna nodded, slipping out. The Gala's whispers swirled around her. Nobody knew what tomorrow would bring, least of all her. Anna stepped from a chauffeured car onto a rooftop where the city spread like a jeweled carpet. Sheikh Rashid's penthouse gleamed, but inside, the smell of cardamom and lamb made it warm.
Welcome, Anna. No ballroom, no servants, just dinner.
He had cooked fragrant rice and spiced meat himself, a humble meal that bore the taste of his homeland.
My little brother is in a state facility because I couldn't afford to stay home. Every day, I wonder if he feels abandoned.
I understand sacrifice. My wife slipped away while I signed business papers. Regret is a heavier burden than any duty. I am asking you to stay, Anna. Not as a waitress, not as a guest. Be Sammy's therapist. Help him find his peace. Whatever it costs, I will pay it. Name your price.
This is everything Hala whispered about, or just another trick of grief.
The silence was thick enough to hear her own pulse. She could feel her old life and this new, terrifying possibility pulling her in too.
I need tonight. This isn't a salary, it's my whole existence.
He nodded, slow and patient as desert stone, and simply waited. Anna returned to her cramped apartment, the silence, after luxury, deafening. She needed to hear a voice that made sense. On the screen, her brother Tomas held up a new painting of a sun over a blue house, beaming with pure joy.
Tomas, do you miss me? Would it matter if I had a job where I couldn't visit every Sunday?
The young man nodded vigorously, then mimed a hug. His world was simple. Love needed no explanation.
He's happy, he's proud. Why does this feel like I am betraying him?
That night, exhaustion pulled her into a dream. The scent of cardamom and dust filled her nostrils.
Child, the song is not a weapon. It is a bridge. You didn't find it, it found you.
Hala's gnarled hand touched her cheek, and the tent dissolved into the image of Sami's peaceful sleeping face.
I'll do it, but I won't disappear. I'll visit Tomas every week, and I'll be Sammy's guide, not his mother.
Clarity settled over her like a mantle. By sunrise, she had written her terms. The next morning, Anna stood before the Al Nasser Foundation, a building whose gold plaque promised respite for children trapped in silence. Inside, Sheikh Rashid was waiting.
Sheikh Rashid, I've thought about your offer. I'll help Sammy, but I have conditions. I keep my apartment. I visit my brother every Sunday, and this remains therapy, not me becoming a replacement mother.
Your loyalty to your brother honors you, and the respect you show for my wife's place is beyond any price. Agreed.
He led her through the foundation, past a bright playroom where therapists worked with children. The ward was filled with sensory tools and quiet corners.
Everything you need will be provided. We have a team here, but they lack what you hold, the lullaby my son responds to.
They shook hands, the agreement solid. But before either could move, the playroom door opened and Sammy burst through, aiming directly for Anna's legs. Sheikh Rashid froze at the door, his hand on the frame. He had not seen his son voluntarily embrace anyone since Maha's passing.
This is what I feared. But seeing his face, trusting me completely, how can I draw a line?
The professional boundaries were written in ink, but the heart of a grieving boy had already scrawled its own contract in tears and hope. Anna's first day, as Sammy's therapist began with hushed voices in the corridor. Staff who had heard of the Gala miracle still watched her with guarded eyes, but she had endured worse battles than gossip. The only opinion that mattered belonged to a small boy who had forgotten how to feel safe. The first sessions were tense. Sami sat rigidly on a mat, clutching a toy camel, avoiding her eyes. Anna didn't push. She just hummed the lullaby from a corner.
Sammy, it's okay. No expectations. Just music.
One afternoon, after a week of silence, Sammy picked up a framed photograph of Maha from a low shelf. His finger traced her smile, then he turned and stared at the locket on Anna's chest.
That's your mama, Sammy. She loved you very much, and the song I sing is her hug.
He didn't speak, but he reached out and gently touched the locket, pressing it to his cheek. Then he returned to his mat, the rigid set of his shoulders finally falling. Through the one-way glass, Sheikh Rashid pressed his palm to the wall, his chest shuddering with a grief that had finally found a sliver of release.
Not a replacement, a bridge. He's learning to understand, not forget.
In that quiet therapy room, a new truth settled. Love could be stretched across death, and a lullaby could carry a mother's warmth across the void. Without warning, a deafening crash from the hall. Workmen repairing a ceiling split Sammy's fragile calm wide open, and the screaming tore through the foundation. Anna burst through the door, Sheikh Rashid on her heels, his face pale with dread, but the boy was already retreating, wild-eyed, into a corner. She reached for him, but a small hand shoved her chest with surprising force. He scrambled backward, a wounded animal, rejecting even the gentlest touch. Sheikh Rashid stepped forward, composure crumbling, but Anna raised a palm, stopping him. She held his gaze, then turned away and closed her eyes. From across the room, the lullaby began, a soft, unwavering hum that asked nothing and expected no response. Sammy's screams fractured into ragged sobs. His hands slid from his ears, and for the first time, his panicked eyes focused on her across the room. Minutes stretched into an eternity of humming. Then, on trembling knees, Sammy crawled across the mat and collapsed into her lap without a sound. She didn't speak. She didn't soothe. She simply became a warm, steady wall of heartbeat and melody wrapped around his trembling frame. Through the one-way glass, Sheikh Rashid pressed his forehead to the cool surface, and for the first time since the funeral, he let his grief pour out without restraint. When the silence returned, Sammy was asleep, his fist curled into Anna's shirt. And Sheikh Rashid, still shaking, understood that this was not therapy. It was a second chance at family. After the storm, Sheikh Rashid waited in the lounge. His eyes reddened. He held out a small velvet box.
You gave me back my son and my tears. This key is to the estate. Come and go as family.
Anna's hand hovered over the key, her heartbeat echoing the conflict inside. She managed to speak.
I need time. I've never had a door opened without a hidden cost.
Take all the time you need. The door stays unlocked.
Instead of leaving, Anna went to Sami's room, woke him gently, and led the boy into the moonlit garden. Under the stars, she sat on the grass and pulled him into her lap. She began to hum the full lullaby. Sammy's head grew heavy on her chest, his eyes fluttering closed as the ancient melody wrapped around them both. From the window, Sheikh Rashid watched the two figures on the lawn. No longer strangers, for the first time in years, peace settled into his face. When the song ended, Anna kissed Sammy's hair, her decision still unspoken, but her heart no longer at war. A month slipped by, and Anna found a fragile rhythm. Mornings at the foundation, evenings in her own cramped apartment, Sundays with Tomas. Sammy no longer retreated. He made eye contact, used picture cards to ask for water, and one afternoon pointed at Anna and said her name.
Yes, Sammy, Anna, that's my name.
She showed Tomas a photo of Sammy during their video call, and her brother beamed. He mimicked hugging the screen, proud of her work. One afternoon, Sheikh Rashid found her in the lounge, his face troubled. He turned his tablet toward her, a news site headline screaming about the miracle waitress.
The press has connected the Gala to Sammy. They want a press conference, an interview. They'll call you a hero.
Cameras would shatter Sammy in seconds. His quiet would drown in flashbulbs. No press, no interviews. This wasn't for fame, and Sammy's safety is non-negotiable.
I'll block them as long as I can, but someone at the gala will talk eventually. Secrets don't keep in my world.
Anna felt the walls of her anonymity closing in, but she had fought harder battles. She'd protect this new life with the same ferocity she'd always used. Within 48 hours, a grainy photograph of Anna walking Sammy through the estate garden appeared on a gossip site. The headline was blunt: "Waitress becomes nanny to Sheikh's son." Her restaurant manager called the next morning, his voice cold. She was a distraction, effective immediately. She no longer had a job.
No income, no fallback. The only door left is the one Sheikh opened.
That night, as she packed her few belongings, Sammy's terrified scream tore through the estate. "Mama, don't go." The sound was a knife. Anna bolted toward his room, but Sheikh Rashid stepped from the shadows and caught her arm.
Wait, he's been asking for you all evening. He's terrified you'll leave like she did.
Through the door, Sammy's sobs were piercing. Anna didn't need to see him to know he was reaching for empty air. She pulled free and stepped into the doorway. Sammy's small, tear-streaked face found hers, and the panic in his eyes erased every condition she had written.
I can't leave him. Not again. This isn't a job anymore. It's a promise.
She climbed into the bed and held Sammy, humming until he slept. By morning, her apartment keys were in a drawer, and the estate key hung around her neck. The guest suite became Anna's quiet refuge, a space between her old life and the family forming around her. She and Sheikh agreed on boundaries. She was Sammy's therapist, not a mother, but she'd be present day and night if needed. Sammy flourished. He used picture cards daily, and one evening at dinner, Sheikh laughed, a deep, surprised sound that hadn't been heard in years. One afternoon, Anna found a box of old home videos. She pressed play and saw Maha, alive, singing the lullaby to baby Sammy.
That's the pronunciation. Every vowel, every pause, so different from how Hala taught me.
She practiced until her tongue held the Arabic perfectly, honoring the original mother's voice. That night, she sang the lullaby in Sammy's room, the corrected melody wrapping around him like a familiar embrace. Sammy looked at the framed photo of Maha on his nightstand, then back at Anna. He pointed at the photo and said, "Mama."
He knows. He's not confusing me with her. He's remembering her through the song.
The lullaby had finally bridged memory and healing, and Sammy slept with a peace that asked nothing more. Sheikh Rashid set a private dinner for 3, the table lit with candles and gratitude. He had waited for this moment.
Anna, I found something among Hala's belongings. A charm for your locket.
Inside was a tiny engraved plate with a line in Arabic. The song is the mother's love, passed hand to hand.
Every lullaby, every touch, every sleepless night. She knew it would lead here. Hala wanted me to carry this, to remember that love isn't a replacement, but a continuation.
You are family now, Anna. Not because of a key or a salary, but because my son's heart and mine have chosen you. I will never remarry. Maha was my soul, but you are the bridge that brought us back to life.
Sammy, sitting between them, reached up and placed one small hand on Anna's cheek and the other on his father's.
This is what family feels like. Not bound by blood, but by choice and a song.
The locket now held both Maha and Hala, and the family that had been shattered was, in that silent gesture, made whole. Weeks later, the nightly ritual had become sacred. Anna sat on Sammy's bed and began the lullaby, her voice soft and sure.
Each note is a promise. I will always return.
Sammy's eyes grew heavy, his breath slowing with the ancient rhythm. The toy camel slipped from his fingers. Anna tucked the blanket around him, the locket with both keepsakes resting against her chest. She rose and found Sheikh waiting in the hallway, his silhouette still and grateful.
She healed what I thought was broken forever. There are no words.
Anna met his gaze and simply nodded. The years of screaming had faded into this single, perfect silence. The lullaby had not just calmed a boy, it had rebuilt a world. Sammy slept deeply, his face smooth and untroubled, a child who finally felt safe. And in the quiet house, the echo of an ancient Bedouin song held them all in its gentle embrace. Morning sunlight flooded the garden, chasing away the last shadows of a long and difficult darkness. Anna stood behind Sammy on the wooden swing, her hands steady on the small of his back. With each push, Sammy's laughter rang out, high and untroubled, a sound that had been absent for years.
Higher, Anna, higher.
Across the lawn, Sheikh Rashid lowered his tea, his eyes fixed on the simple miracle before him.
This is what peace sounds like. Laughter, not silence.
The lullaby was no longer needed. Joy had become its own melody. Anna caught his eye from across the garden and smiled, a wordless understanding passing between them. No awards, no headlines, just a family in the making, bound by a song that had traveled across deserts and hearts. And in that golden morning, the boy who had screamed for hours was simply a child, swinging toward the sky. The lullaby that began in a Bedouin tent traveled across continents and generations. It carried a mother's love from a small village to a boy who had forgotten how to sleep. Ana Delgado, once invisible, became the keeper of a melody that healed a shattered family. She asked for no fame, only the chance to serve. The boy who screamed for hours now sleeps with a smile on his face. Sheikh Rashid found wealth not in gold, but in the quiet power of an ancient song. Hala's gift, passed hand to hand, had finally found its destination. In the end, it was not medicine or money that saved them. It was a simple human voice, and somewhere, beyond the desert and the stars, a grandmother's wisdom still hummed. The locket carries two faces now, the mother who gave the song and the woman who never let it die. If this story touched your heart, please like and share it with someone who needs to believe in miracles. Subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss another true story of courage and kindness. Sometimes the quietest voice can calm the loudest storm. If you have a special song that brings you peace, tell us in the comments below. Thank you for watching 33. Autistic boy screamed for hours at the Royal Gala. Ana Delgado reminded us that a lullaby can be a bridge across grief and silence. No matter where you come from, your kindness can change a life. Hold your loved ones close and never underestimate the power of a simple song. Until next time, keep your heart open. You never know whose world you might heal. Goodbye for now, and remember, love is the oldest melody.